This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stockbox interview. Welcome to the Research Talks podcast here on Stockbox with Alan Green at the end of another week, but it's been certainly a very nice week. It's nice to have some sun and blue sky in March, a little bit different from last year. I'm not complaining.
Oh, the weather's fantastic, Mark, isn't it? It's just been a wonderful week. You wake up every day and just open the blinds and see that blue sky. It's uplifting. And I actually sat out in the garden over lunch yesterday for about an hour, and I got some coloration in my face, which is
get that get an early start on the tan, Alan, so we don't all look like going. Lobsters when it's barbecue weather. Yeah, excellent.
Indeed, yeah, that's it. It'll be barbecue time next. We could always get the barbecue out the weekend. Why not?
Indeed, excellent. And hopefully this year will be much nicer with things opened up. Pub gardens should be full, I hope.
Oh yes, yeah. That's part of the for us here in the UK. It's an integral part of the summer. Going out the weekend, Sunday lunch, or some of these great country pubs around where we are. You can just go out and just enjoy a few hours sitting in the pub garden by the river. It's a lovely time of year.
Indeed,
lovely time. Yeah.
It is. So today you're going to be talking to us about some quite different companies. One's pre-IPO, Spectrum X, and then of course Boom or Audioboom, which has been seeing a lot of interest recently. Which one would you like to take first?
Going to start with Spectrum X, and then we'll talk about Audioboom and the very appropriate epic code Boom, because it's certainly going through one at the moment. So firstly, Spectrum X. So Spectrum X are global leaders in hypochloric acid formulation and technologies. What is hypochloric acid? So hypochloric acid is found in the defense cells or the white blood cells of all humans and animals, and it's been known about for many years. But actually harnessing the technology and making it work effectively has proven challenging up till now. And Spectrum Microbials, based in California, have developed a number of applications, both in the consumer sector and also in the medical sector, to develop a series of groundbreaking technologies and treatments for respiratory diseases, and secondly, for in the case of the consumer direct business, alcohol-free sanitizers based on hypochlorous acid. It's well known, of course, alcohol that's been around it's basically been unchanged since the 1890s. Alcohol is a great application, cleans everything, but it causes dryness, itching, all sorts of skin conditions. But because hypochloric acid is derived effectively from our cells, it has no impact or reaction on use, and it's absolutely lethal to all known pathogens, both viral, bacterial, and fungal. And as I say, Spectrum antimicrobials have harnessed the technology, and they are now licensing this out, and they have licenses to use at various levels. Firstly, on the consumer front, the hand sanitizer is called Spectracept, and this has already been approved by the NHS. So Spectrum X are an approved NHS supplier, supplied to city hospitals across the UK, including Chelsea and Westminster and West Middlesex hospitals. And indeed, the Chief Medical Officer there, Dr. Gary Davis at Chelsea and Westminster, said the feedback from the staff on the use has been overwhelmingly positive. Obviously, I mentioned just now about the issues with alcohol hand sanitizer. There's none of that, but this is absolutely effective. It's also halal certified in line with Islamic law too, which is a key factor. So the other side of the business is the Spectrum X Medical, and this is the company has developed a series of groundbreaking inhalation treatments for COVID, also potentially to treat pneumonia, bronchitis, RSV, asthma, flu, and the common colds. And the flagship product in this regard is SPC 069, which treats the diseases I've just outlined, and also research is underway and medical trials are underway, phase 2 clinical trials with the Medical University at Innsbruck to develop this treatment in other areas, looking at hospital superbugs such as RNSA. Now, there's an interesting comparison here, which I think is very important. We've spoken previously, Mark, about, of course, Synergen, which is listed. They have SNG 001, which is an interferon beta-based treatment to resolve the same issues in these respiratory diseases. And there's a direct comparison. The Spectrum X website makes the direct comparison, and it just simply interferon beta is inferior. It's far more complex and expensive to manufacture. SPC 069 can be manufactured at a fraction of the cost, expected to be around £2,000 sterling per patient, and obviously is far easier and will be far cheaper for authorities to use to fight these bugs. So, highly significant progress. So all of this work has been undertaken, and we're now on the runway to an IPO on the London market in the next few months. The company's already raised over 10 million. The IPO is expected to come in at around 50 million, but there is an opportunity for self-certified investors still to get involved in this. And if you go to the SpectrumX.com website, that's SPECTRUMX.com, you'll see an investor relations page on there, and you can go through and register your interest to participate in the IPO if you so wish. Just to say as well, also on the runway up to the IPO on the 22nd of March, early on this week, the company made 2 further appointments. Barry Saint was appointed as Chief Financial Officer. Now, Barry formerly worked at Dresdner Kleinwort, is also a CFO at an early stage biotech called Kamalogy. Also worked previously as CFO at FTSE 250 company Indivior. He's coming as CFO, and a lady called Deborah Reeves, who is formerly worked at Pfizer, GSK, GE Healthcare. She's a CEO at a virtual VR training company, and also previously CEO at Physion and Avicta Medical. Deborah has come in as non-exec director to go with our other NED roles at Cambridge Cognition and at Telerex. So the company's got an experienced board there, headed up, of course, by Damien Hancock's. I will be interviewing Damien. We're speaking, of course, on Friday, Mark. I'm going to be interviewing Damien today, so that interview will be out probably sometime next week. But he's got a great track record in identifying opportunities and bringing these opportunities to market. And we're going to be finding out more about Spectrum X when I speak to him. But it's a really exciting opportunity, to get involved in a company at this stage with proven data. I think certainly on the SPC 069, alongside an established treatment, that really does draw a line in the sand. And also, of course, on the consumer front, the relationship that the company already has with the NHS.
Okay, well, excellent. Well, thank you for that. So, perhaps we'll start to see a lot of these products already in hospitals that will replace the alcohol-based sanitizers that, as you say, they dry people's hands out. Maybe it's time for a bit of a change in that regard. And what, 50 million is the pre-IPO listing? Okay, so that's quite modest.
Yeah, the IPO is coming in at around 50 million. As I say, there's an opportunity that the company is undergoing a pre-IPO fundraise at the moment, so there are still opportunities. They've raised over 10 million, but there are still opportunities to get in at the pre-IPO level. So, and as I say, sophisticated high net worths who are interested can go to the Spectrum X website, go to the investor relations page, and it's a very easy sort of process to register there, self-certify, and then obviously you'll be contacted and go from there.
Okay. And do they have a date roughly?
Well, it's going to be it's imminent.
Okay.
It's the next few months. So with the appointments this week of Barry Saint and Deborah Reeves, the process is very much on the runway. So yes, imminent, I think, is the word.
Okay. Excellent. Okay. Well, thank you for introducing that company to us. So on to the podcasting platform, Audioboom.
Well, Audioboom, of course, Mark. We're here on a
We
podcast,
are.
we've all used Audioboom in the past. I think it's probably fair to say it's kind of the YouTube of the podcasting world, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's just in terms of its application, but certainly it's Audioboom are the global leader in podcasting. More than 116 million downloads each month by 32 million unique users. It's already the fourth largest podcaster in the USA, and it's got a really advanced and effective ad monetization program across a network of some 250 top tier podcasts. The distribution network includes Apple, Spotify, Pandora, Amazon, Deezer, Google Podcasts, Facebook, Twitter, of course, Radio Public, Heart Radio, and so on and so on. It's everywhere, and certainly the board, I think, have been key in driving this forward. The chairman, Michael Tobin, formerly of Telecity and Big Blue Broadband. Well, he's actually still involved in the Big Blue Broadband. Michael has been buying up shares as if they're going out of fashion. He currently owns about 4.2% of the company. But if you look at the news flow every day in the past few weeks, he's been buying up shares. And there's a very good reason for that. There's speculation around which the company's not really responded to effectively yet, that Amazon and Spotify are very keen to come in and buy the company outright. And of course, given the way they've established themselves in the market over the past few years, the platform is very adaptable. It's a very solid platform and well used, very easy to use for podcasters to set up and get going. And has a very good a very good way of commercializing the platform, both through ad monetization and, of course, subscription. The chief executive is, of course, Stuart Last, and Stuart Last, listeners will be familiar with him probably through his work at the BBC. He was BBC Radio Controller for many years and worked with BBC Radio 1 and was responsible for introducing the Live Lounge, which of course is a very well-known spot for live music and for introducing bands to the public. So Stuart has headed this up. A group of major shareholders, of course, backing it. The most prolific of which, of course, is Nick Candy of the property empire, who I think is also one of the potential bidders for the Chelsea Football Club, but I won't go into that. Nick owns 14.8% of the company, and I think the numbers the company reported, and we're in the run-up now, of course, to the full results on Monday, the 11th of April. So it may well be that at that time we'll see a formal bid come in from Amazon or Spotify. But certainly the trading update the company announced on January the 10th looked very impressive indeed. Revenue rose 125% to $60 million. The company it looks set to report a maiden adjusted EBITDA number of $3 million from a loss of $1.8 million previously. Net profit likewise made net profit of $1.4 million, $3.3 million lost previously, but also accelerated growth in Q4 last year. So the platform's just gaining traction everywhere, and of course just announced a partnership in New Zealand as well, and it ended the year with increased downloads, brand ad count, and cash ahead of expectations about at $3 million. Stuart Last said he was very excited about 2022, the traction the platform has, and the potential for the company to expand its reach, which is obviously why Michael Tobin is sticking his hand in his pocket every few days and buying up shares in the company at, as I say, now 4.2%. So results due on Monday, April the 11th, with Amazon and Spotify in the wings. Doubtless there'll be other potential bidders looking as well. But obviously we've seen the share price reaction, since throughout last year. I mean, this time last year shares were £5.40. Today they're £18.23, having been as high as £22.60. So the company's now got a valuation of 300 million, that's probably in line with the future growth potential and where it should be. But sky's the limit. Really exciting times, and has the bids been valued at 300 million, or is it going to go higher? One to speculate on, but certainly, I think in terms of growth potential going forward, this is only going one way.
Yes, I agree. I'm very familiar with Audioboom, and it was nice to see the company doing well. I actually didn't know they were listed until a few months ago when I started to see all the chatter going around on Twitter. It's not we normally talk about the lower end of the market, but at 305 million, I probably would say there's still some upside to be had in Audioboom, that are much less riskier than what we would normally perhaps talk about on this podcast.
Yeah.
And I think we'll start to see, some of a lot of the overvaluation, let's say, in the big tech like Apple, Microsoft, Amazon, for example, Netflix. I think we've already seen them top, and I think some of that will start to filter down into these smaller companies that that have worked very hard, built a great business, but just haven't quite got the full recognition of their market cap on the market yet. I think we might start to see some of that start to be represented. So Audioboom is in the right space for that.
I absolutely agree, but I think also the giant techs like Apple and Amazon, of course, they're still under pressure to grow market share and to grow their business, deliver shareholder value. How do they do that? By making good acquisitions, bringing economies of scale, and obviously, Amazon and Spotify probably see they can do that with their existing platforms where they operate and so on. So of course, it's a great way for a company to add growth to its bottom line and to drive profitability going forward.
Yeah, excellent. Okay. Well, thank you very much, Alan, for giving us the investment case there for both Spectrum X and Audioboom. And we'll speak to you in a week's time.
Thanks, Mark. Speak next week.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like, or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter, and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.